That's right. I was a chiropractor and an acupuncturist previously, and my husband and I just felt like we worked quite hard and we weren't going to retire when we thought we should retire. And we wanted to find out where we could put our money and what we could do with our money to have a better financial future and to retire younger. So that led us to a lot of podcasts and books and meetups, and that led us to investing in real estate.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Anita Bongers Lewis, is an investor broker out of Canada, the Durham region. She's won the Canadian Real Estate Investor Award for her work, and over the years, she's helped countless investors build their personal portfolios. You can find her and her team on doorstowealth.com. Anita, thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me, Dylan.
I typically like to start the show by asking folks how they got started in real estate, but you had an interesting path because you had a career as a chiropractor.
That's right. I was a chiropractor and an acupuncturist previously, and my husband and I just felt like we worked quite hard and we weren't going to retire when we thought we should retire. And we wanted to find out where we could put our money and what we could do with our money to have a better financial future and to retire younger. So that led us to a lot of podcasts and books and meetups, and that led us to investing in real estate.
I want to ask you a little bit about being a chiropractor, because I think myself and a lot of folks don't know what goes into being a chiropractor. How many years of schooling does it take to be a chiropractor?
So a full undergrad degree, 3 or 4 years, and then another 4-year postgrad degree doctorate.
Did you know at any point in time when you were studying that you were going to be a real estate investor?
No, if you had ever told me that, I would have never believed you 10 years ago.
So you're going in. Walk me through what it's like in the first couple of years practicing as a chiropractor.
It's wonderful. I like helping people. I like working with people. I like working with my hands. It was wonderful, but it's very physical. It was great. It challenged me. I like to learn a lot of things. So it was a wonderful profession. Just we sought out something to invest in outside of the profession as well. But I have nothing bad to say about the profession. I did do it for 10 years successfully and really enjoyed it. I will say my body physically is happy to not do it at this point, only from the physical perspective. From the helping people perspective, it was a wonderful job to have, or career to have.
It's interesting, right? Because you're helping other people's, recuperate, and it's wearing on you. So then you're thinking, okay, well, how do I, what's my exit strategy here? When did real estate become something that you were looking at? Was it along the way in your chiropractic career? Was it at the end of it?
Just over 15 years ago, we sort of stumbled into a little bit of something, a couple of pre-built condos, which worked out well, that we held for about a year and got rid of. My husband's condo before we got married as well. We sort of flipped it and renovated it as well, and then bought our first home. But it was really just looking for, we made decent money, my husband and I, but it felt like there was never enough to get where we wanted to be or to retire. So we just really started researching what were the best returns we could get on the money that we had so that we could move a little bit quicker. My husband's the type of guy who had a spreadsheet that would tell you the month and year we'd retire based on our current trajectory. So we wanted to change that. And everything pointed towards real estate as something for great long-term wealth generation. And that's when we started dabbling in that. I think So the more intentional investment, not these pre-built condos, but the intentional investment started around 2012 when we started diving into our first properties. And that's where we actually achieved that award. So it was for Newcomer of the Year for the Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine. We purchased 5 properties in our first year and converted some to 2-unit dwellings. We had a student rental and we had our first child. So we had a crazy first really active year in our investments.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
I think a lot of people can relate to this idea of, if I'm not working in the business, then is this business going to be making money for me, right? And so as a chiropractor, as a career professional, if people stop working, the money stops coming in, right? And so real estate, of course, offers that opportunity for being able to pull yourself out of the business, at least at some point in time. Initially, you were an investor, right? And so
Yes.
brokerage and being a realtor, that I'm imagining was not the initial focus when you were getting in as an investor.
Not even a little bit. So my husband and I did get our licenses only because we figured we could just represent ourselves as we did transactions, but had no intention to really work with anyone else. We also got it because, for anyone who knows us, we're nerds, for lack of a better term. We like to learn. We like to understand how things work and how to get an edge. So we did all that with no intention to use it except for ourselves. And actually, the realtor that I had used for our first 5 purchases said, "You know what? I want to retire. What are you doing with that license that you got now?" And we saw a unique opportunity to leverage all the information, all the knowledge we had gained in our own investment. The realtor I had worked with had been working with investors for some time. It was a unique opportunity to step away from what I had been doing. So I shifted into it part-time and then eventually full-time.
Yeah, I mean, I had an investor agent here recently on the show tell me that if you want to know, who's successful in business, it's not just how many transactions that they've done, but what's their portfolio look like? Because if you are purely a transactional realtor, I know many that have gotten burnt out on that side of it because, again, if you take yourself out of the business, what's the cash flow look like? And so I think it's interesting because as a realtor myself, I went in thinking, oh, well, every realtor must be an investor or must thinking about investing. But of course, that's not the case.
Not even close. It's actually surprising how often we bring it up, even within our brokerage. Even especially right now, there's a lot of opportunities in our market right now with where things have gone. And there are so many who just won't take that jump. And there's so many realtors who work until they're 80
Yeah.
because they haven't got that passive income coming in. We believe in diversification. So we don't just have our investment portfolio. We have my business, we have our investment portfolio. My husband day trades as well. We do private lending. So we have multiple streams just to make sure that we're growing, but also to make sure it's something that, like you said, when we step away from the business, there's an income, there's a cash flow coming in there still.
Do you have a personal favorite asset class, whether it's single family, multifamily, or some other segment of real estate for newer investors when they come to you saying, how do I get started as an investor?
So I'd say if you're very, very new investing in our markets anyways, something like a duplex, a 2-unit dwelling is what we call them in our local area. It's a good balance. If you get into multifamily, you're dealing with multiple tenants, likely some conflicts, managing a larger building. I think sometimes the tenant profile will shift a little bit when you go into higher level multis. So sticking in and around something that's 2 units works well. You've got, more income than you would in the single family home. So you've got better cash flow. And in our markets here, you will not cash flow with a single family home anyway. So it's really not an option. Maybe in some of the very rural areas, but it's pretty unlikely. But also you have a little more security. If you have a vacancy for 1 month, you still have the other unit paying rent in that case. So you may be negative a little bit, but you're not set at 0. And we find that's a pretty good asset class. But also a lot of our investors, because I've done a lot of this work myself, so because we sort of practice what we preach, a lot of them will buy the single family home and convert it to 2 units. So get that forced equity in there as part of it, but also get that greater cash flow at the end of the day. So that's really been a niche. That's one that I've personally utilized a lot with a BRRRR strategy, right? The buy, renovate, refinance, and repeat. Little trickier these days. You have to buy smart, but it's becoming a really good strategy again because there are certainly motivated sellers within our market right now. So that's sort of my sweet spot. We're shifting that even to triplex conversions now because bylaws and local rules have changed to allow 3 and 4 units as of right now. So there's definitely some opportunities, but that gets more complicated for a new investor to really understand, if a building can become 3 units, what the costs look like and what that process is. But certainly the classic turn a bungalow into 2 units is not so complicated.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Now, when we talk about converting a single family into a duplex, let's say the single family home is rental grade, so it might not be completely modernized, but it's certainly livable. What's the basic things that people need to do? Adding a door, right? Separating the units to convert a single family into a duplex.
The main things are they have to realize they have to pull for full permits. They have to be prepared that they will have to get drawings done and they will have to pull permits for it. Even if it is already 2 units, but not legally 2 units, you still have to pull your full permits. Then you need sound separation, fire separation. You need to have the proper ceiling height for egress. You likely have to add an egress window or make sure there is an egress window there as well. And then you'll have to, for your fire separation or part of your fire code, you'll have to have interconnected smoke detectors, including one in the furnace system.
Okay, so that means, if one goes off, the other's going off.
Yeah, and I always love explaining it to our clients why one goes in the furnace, and it's because the furnace system feeds the entire house, and it isn't fire that kills people. It's usually the smoke that kills people. So what happens with we call it an inline or induct smoke detector is it shuts your furnace off if the smoke detectors go off, so that if there's a fire in one unit, the furnace isn't pushing the smoke into the second unit.
Now, in the Durham region, are the good deals all off market? Are there any deals that you can find on market?
Yeah, absolutely both. I'd say if you're doing a flip strategy, you're probably looking more for off-market deals. It is a lot harder to find them on the market. But usually we're dealing with wholesalers for flip projects. But I'd say for those 2-unit conversions, or especially for something that's already 2 units and a tired landlord, those ones we're finding on the market quite easily.
I know it's going to be a range, but what's the range of rents that you could get on both sides of a duplex?
So for total, your range is probably, if we're talking you've purchased it and you've renovated it and you're setting your market rents, you're looking upwards of $4,200 to $4,500 for the whole home.
And at that point, it's cash flowing because I'm thinking the mortgage that you have, and this isn't going to be substantially more than a single family home.
No, it isn't. And that's the amazing thing. That's what's happened during all of this uncertainty. A lot of investors have exited the market. So traditionally, we found that the 2-unit dwellings really retained their value, even when the rest of the market was correcting. But there's just tired landlords who over leveraged themselves, who couldn't handle the rate changes. And there's some of them that say, I have to get out. So we're finding some really great opportunities out there where we can make those numbers work. Yeah.
I want to pivot a bit here and ask you about acquisition strategy. There's so many different ways to get into real estate, to get started. Of course, the way that most people know is find a realtor, make an offer to a property on market. But then also there's countless people who are wholesaling. There's folks who are doing acquisitions off market. And there's now, I would say, more folks than ever who are interested in making seller finance offers.
Yes.
Do you have experience in several of these realms, and would you advise for or against one or the other?
So whenever you can get seller financing, so a vendor take back, that is wonderful. And yes, we have experience with that. We've been able to, I think the best one I've negotiated is we got an interest rate of 1.75, which was lovely, for an 80% loan to value. So it was a wonderful situation for my client. She could renovate it, turn it into a triplex during the period that she had the vendor financing, and then refinance into a different product, which is really great. We are finding with, again, motivated sellers, it's a great opportunity. But I deal with wholesalers and flippers all the time. So we have opportunities there as well with off market and pocket listings, quite often. So I have a relationship often with a few of the wholesalers where they'll come to me for my opinion of value. So they decide if they want to flip it themselves. But in exchange, I get a little early access to it so that I can go and maybe see if I have anybody who may be interested in that property before it hits their big list. But I mean, there are so many opportunities. I do caution a new investor with sometimes with the wholesale opportunities. It is they just need to make sure they've had maybe a lawyer vet it or be a little careful, because with the wholesale opportunities, the wholesaler is very honest that, no guarantees, no warranties kind of thing. But I don't think all purchasers realize what they could be walking into in those situations. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, having come from that space, I know, of course, the fiduciary responsibility that people have as a wholesaler is non-existent. But then also you have the idea that, hey, these are properties that are being handed to an investor, and if the investor is thinking like, hey, this is just going to be wrapped in a bow, that's not necessarily the case. Many of the times it's not, right? So you have to go in and do your own underwriting. Of course, walk the. I always tell this to people. I say walk the property, but I know so many investors now that are doing this remotely. What's your thought about being a remote investor and seeing the rise in people doing this across state lines and so forth?
I mean, I guess if it fits your risk profile, that's all it is, right? It is sort of what risk you're willing to take on. But I'd say right now the risk is greater than ever. We are in a market where things in our market have declined about 30% from the peaks during COVID. So some sellers, even some agents, are particularly motivated and may not, like you said, no fiduciary duty, no responsibility there, that you can end up in a very tricky situation. I think you should walk a property. There are just certain things that you can't possibly understand from a video walkthrough and things like that. So I think walking the property is good. Now, I know a lot of wholesalers, they have a whole acquisitions team. So somebody's walking it for them. It's just not them, which makes perfect sense as well. Oftentimes for my flippers or my clients who are buying from wholesalers, 9 times out of 10, if they're buying from wholesalers, they're flippers. In those cases, they'll just have me come walk the property with them as well. So I can give them an idea of what the value is later, because I'll be listing it for them later. It helps us both, because I also don't have an unrealistic expectation once they've done their flip of what that price is going to be. We're all on the same page and they know what to invest in the property if it makes sense. So quite often, even though I'm not involved in the purchase, I will come for the walkthrough just to give my opinion.
And again, there's going to be a range here, but what's the range for what investors are looking for from an acquisitions price for a single family flip in the Durham region?
Oh goodness, in the Durham region, we'd want it to be under 600,000. Would be what we'd be looking for, and even lower than that if we can get it. But I'd say the cusp is in and around there. If we can get it 5 or even just under 5, that's even better. For us right now, if we are doing a flip, it's better if it's an entry level home, so something where it's more of a first time home buyer, that kind of thing. I always explain to people that we have like our luxury market, then we have that sort of leveling up home, and then we have those first time or entry level markets. When prices shift, especially when prices go up, it puts more people in that lower level of entry, right? So that's where you're always going to have the highest demand, is in that entry level product. You'll have more people there. So for flippers, sticking to that product, unless you're highly experienced, and you can do it with luxury. Absolutely, you can do it with luxury. But I'd say you're more stable in a changing market if you're working with entry level products. So I'd say, depending on the area of Durham as well, Durham's a very large region. certainly under 600, under 500 is even better.
There's an interesting, it's an interesting contrast to where I'm licensed at. Because in Texas, when I'm thinking of flips, I know I've assigned some contracts prior to being a realtor for acquisitions price of $60,000, and that person flipped it for 200 or below that even. And so when I'm hearing 600, I'm thinking, wow. So what's the exit on some of those homes?
I mean, it's just a simple flip, right? So it's going to be a renovation depending on who my flipper is. Sometimes it's just cosmetic
Hmm.
flip. Sometimes it's a wholesale close on it, change two things and throw it right on the market really quickly if you can get the numbers right. If they can negotiate it pretty aggressively, and that's sort of the situation right now in our market. Affordability is a huge issue for anyone purchasing. I deal not just with investors; I deal with a lot of residential as well. We're 50% investor, 50% residential, which for me is the best business model because it keeps my business resilient. When investors are quiet, we find the residential's busy, and vice versa. But yeah, I would say if you can get something that is really fully done right now, that's what's going to get you the best result. People can't afford to pay their down payment with the prices we're at, as well as put in a new furnace or put on a new roof or redo a kitchen. So if you can make it fairly turnkey with major systems, relatively updated, that's kind of what we're looking for the best result at the end of the day.
What's the turnkey homes going for on market in Durham?
Again, huge range depending on what we're looking at. So certainly we're starting at 700 for a similar one that I was talking about. That's more a 7 to 800,000 ideally. But again, that's, a real
Entry
classic
level.
bungalow, nothing too
Yeah.
fancy, but there can be a lot of variability there.
We are coming up on time here, Anita. Any new projects that you or your team are working on, or how can folks reach out to you guys? How can folks reach out to your team?
Yeah, they can always find us at doorstowealth.com or email me, Anita@doorstowealth.com is the best way to reach out. What we're really been working on lately is we've helped so many investors, which has been very rewarding and has been a great business model for me because investors are repeat clients. So you invest in your leads because they come back over and over again. But our business has shifted into two different areas. One, we're working more with builders doing infill development in apartment buildings. So there's opportunities there to partner with some of our apartment builders. But also we've started to shift on. We've changed the lives of so many investors, which has been wonderful. It's changed my life too. But we want to start looking at the people who can't really afford to get into the market. So we're really pivoting to look into house hacking. Getting people into property by having an income suite or an income generating portion of the property to get these first time owners in, to get parents to get their kids into a home if their kids can't get into a home, things like that. So we're really pivoting to try to give back and get more people into the market before it becomes unaffordable again and work on this house hacking strategy quite aggressively.
Anita, thank you for coming on the show today. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.